Okay, so the first one was linear because there was no power of 2. Highest power was 1, right? How about number 2? That one is quadratic because why? Perfect. Everybody okay if I abbreviate to quad? Okay, so if I want to solve that, directions say I either can isolate or factor. Can I isolate that thing? No, because I've got a squared and a, so I have to factor it. Do you have a GCF? No? So 2 binomials? Long way or short way, folks? Short way, which means what am I going to start with? And I need factors of 13 that add to 14. 13 and 1. If I'm adding, does that mean same or different? And they both need to be. Now that I've got that, how do I solve? Shane, can you maybe turn off the lights? Maybe that'll make it feel cooler in here. Thank you. Perfect. How's everybody doing on those 2 answers? Fantastic. Number 3, linear or quadratic? Why is it quadratic? Squared. Can I isolate or do I need to factor? I'm going to isolate it. There's only x squared. So how would you isolate? No. I'm trying to get the x by itself, so what would you do? Divide it by 5 first. What is 180 divided by 5? 36. And then how am I going to get this squared off of there? Square root it. So what's x? Not just 6. Positive and negative 6. Good. Everybody doing all right? Fair enough? Okay, number 4, linear or quadratic? Quadratic. Can I isolate or do I need a factor? Got a factor. Long way or short way? Long way. Remember how we do the long way here, folks. You're going to multiply the first and the last. What do you get? So you need factors of 6 that will add to 4. Factors of 6 that will add to 4. Factors of 6 that will add to 4. What are factors of 6? Tell me. Does that work? Does that work? Are there any other factors that will make 6? So before, we've exhausted all options, right? What do we write if we can't factor it? It's prime. Okay. That's because we can't factor it. But guess what? The quadratic equation that we started yesterday will help us solve that one. That's not factorable. Sound good? Okay. So let's get some notes in here. Tell me again what's standard form. Standard form of a quadratic equation. It's got to be written in that way. What are A, B, and C? They are just numbers. And we worked with those numbers yesterday, right? Okay. You have to remember that the powers need to be in this one's largest. Somebody said it maybe. Order. They need to be in order from largest to smallest. If they're not, you need to put them in that order. Okay, so remind me the 3 ways that you know how to solve a quadratic. We can factor. We can graph, I think I heard Shane said. Or Shane say. And then last one was isolating. Those are the 3 that you know how to do right now. Yesterday, we started the quadratic formula, and this is going to be the last way. Okay. Remember how large this formula is. The 4 is always there. Always. The rest of them depend on the problem, the A, B, and the C. Yesterday, we talked about the part that's under the radical. So yesterday, we only dealt with this part, correct? What is that part called? The what? It starts with a what? A D. Not discrimination. That's social studies class, right? It's close though. No. You're still thinking social studies class. Discriminant. Under the radical is called the discriminant. This will tell you exactly how many solutions there are. I'm going to hold right here for a second, Ray. Because remember I gave you these 3 situations, right? It could have 2 answers where it hits the x-axis twice. It could have 1 answer where it only hits the x-axis once, or it could have no answers, meaning it never hits the x-axis. Are we good with that? Okay. If the discriminant is, what are the 3 categories? Do you remember? If it's positive, it has how many? If it's 0, it has how many? And if it's negative, because remember folks, the discriminant is under the square root. So if it's negative, you cannot take the square root of a negative number. And that's why there would be no solution if it's negative. Now, the other thing we talked about with the discriminant is what kinds of solutions they would be, whether they be nice or not so nice, right? What kind of answers do we get? What do we call them when they're nice? Rational. What do we call them when they're not so nice? Irrational. Okay, it says determine the discriminant first, then solve by using the quadratic formula. Give exact answers. Now, folks, when I say exact, I literally mean exact, meaning if it's a whole bunch of decimals that fill up your screen, do you think I'm going to want you to write all of them? No, because you know what? There's more numbers that you don't see because your screen's not big enough. That wouldn't be exact then, would it? Okay, so if we have that situation, we're going to keep the radical the way it is and not do any decimals. Sound like a plan? All right back there? That's hard telling. Hard telling. Okay, so first of all, is this thing in the right order? Okay, what's my A, B, and C? We're going to label them, right? What is the formula for the discriminant? Nope, discriminant. No. Just the discriminant. That's what your whole homework was on yesterday, right? Okay, what's the B? 1. So this will be 1 squared minus 4 times what's the A? And what's the C? Okay, type it in your calculator and tell me what the discriminant is. Are we good with 49? Yes? That is your discriminant. But remember, folks, and I think, I want to take a second here. Can't reach all the way over there. I want to write the quadratic equation up here so I don't have to keep going back to different slides. Okay, so now that I have my discriminant, I need to plug the rest of it in. Are you ready? Okay, so see where it says negative b? What's my b right now? It's 1, right? Y'all see that positive 1 right there? So I have to make it the opposite, which will be negative 1. Plus or minus the square root of. Folks, that b squared minus 4ac we just did, didn't we? So what's going to go underneath there? This part right here is 49. All over 2 times, it says 2 times a. What's the a? Right there, 3. Do I need the x squared? Just the number, just the 3. So how are we doing with that setup? Doing okay? Now we actually got to solve it out. The first thing I want to look at is the square root. Is the square root of 49 a nice square root? Yes. What is the square root of 49? Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite it as -1 plus or minus 7. We took the square root, so there's no longer a square root over it. What is 2 times 3 for the denominator? 6. How's everybody doing? We're almost done. Now we just have to find our answers, because you all know that this is going to give me 2 answers with a plus or minus symbol here, correct? So grab your calculators. Here we go. -1 plus 7 divided by 6. So that's our first answer is 1. Everybody doing okay? Let's do the other one now. -1 minus 7. -8 divided by 6. 1.3 repeating. So you can either write it like this, or you can turn it into a fraction. What would it be as a fraction? How's everybody doing? Those are your 2 answers. That is where this parabola will hit the x-axis. Just more steps. You can, but I'm asking you to use quadratic equation. Okay. Everybody doing all right? In theory, you could go back and check all your homeworks in Desmos. Yep, absolutely. Ready to move on? Okay. If you just put -1.3 right here, I'm going to count it wrong, because it's not just -1.3, is it? It's repeating. Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, next one. Is it in the right order? No. How do I get it in the right order? Everybody good with me adding the 6r over? And then what would the new equation be? Great. So this is my A, my B, and my C. Okay, what's the formula for the discriminant? What is the B? So this will be 6 squared minus 4 times, what's the A? And what's the C? Okay. What do you get for the discriminant? How much? I just didn't hear you, was all. 24? Is that what you're getting? Is that what you told me, Ray? I just really couldn't hear you. That's all. Are we all good with 24? Okay, so let's back up the bus here a second, because before we go on to the next part, is 24 a nice square root? It's not a perfect square, meaning I'm not going to have nice answers here, am I? Okay, I just want to make sure we're good with that. All right, let's plug in the rest of it now. My formula says -b. What is my -b? It's going to be -6. It's +6 now. We're going to turn it into -6, plus or minus. What goes under the square root? Good. All over 2 times, what's my A? -3. Now, you just told me that 24 is not a nice square root. It is not a perfect square, correct? So we're not writing all those decimals, are we? No, we're going to leave this as a square root of 24. So we have -6 plus or minus a square root of 24, but we can do this part, can't we? What do we get here? So that would be your exact answer. Exact. Does everybody understand? Yes? You sure? Okay, now I want to do the approximate answers. Are you ready? Grab your calculator. -6 plus the square root of 24 equals. No, I don't want you to divide it yet. -29 point something, he says. Yes or no, folks? No? Okay, clear them out. Let's try it again. -6. Clear it out. Plus, not plus 24, plus the square root of 24. I have negative 1.101. Everybody have that number now? Divided by, what's on the bottom? Negative 6. So my approximate answer would be approximately 0.2. Everybody knows a squiggly mark means approximately? How are your calculators? Are they getting the same thing that I'm getting? But that's only one answer. Now I'm going to find the other answer. Negative 6 minus the square root of 24. Negative 10.89 divided by negative 6. Approximately 1.8. So does everybody understand the difference between approximate answers and exact answers? Yes? You sure? Okay. So we're just going to keep practicing this. Sound all right with you? All right. Next question. Is it in the right order? What are you going to do? Minus the d. Make sure you put it all in the right order once we do that. What will it be? Negative d squared minus d. Okay. So I've got my a, b, and c. First thing we need to find is the discriminant. What will be underneath the square root? Are we all good with that formula? Okay, what is the b right now? Remember, that's got to go in parentheses if I'm going to square it. What's the a? And what's the c? Okay. What do you get here? 5? Are we good with 5? Yeah? So, will these be nice or not so nice? Is 5 a perfect square? Not so nice. Okay. So let's plug in the rest of it now. Negative b, what is your negative b? Right now it's negative 1. If I make it negative again, now it's positive 1, right? Plus or minus, what goes underneath that square root? All over 2 times, what's the a? It's negative 1. So, I am not going to be doing the square root of 5 because it's a nasty number. What's in the denominator, though? So this is the exact answer right there. That's exact. Now let's find the approximate answers. Grab your calculator. Let's do the numerator first. 1 plus the square root of 5. Is everybody getting that number? I got 2 head nods. Yeah? Autumn's good. Divided by negative 2. Negative 1.6. Okay, that's only one of them though, right? We're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to subtract them. 1 minus the square root of 5. And then divide it by negative 2. Approximate. All right, folks, we're 3 questions in. How we doing? They call this plugging and chugging. You plug the numbers in, you let your calculator chug away at the work. Good? All right, how about number 4, right order? Okay, I like that. What's the B? What's the A? And what's the C? Okay. $180? William, are you okay with 180? Yeah. Okay. All right. Nice or not so nice? Not so nice. All right. Formula time. What is the negative b? Plus or minus what goes under the square root? All over 2 times what's the a? Good. So you told me that 180 is not a perfect square. So we're going to leave it underneath there. What's 2 times 9? Exact. Right here. What's that? There's way more not perfect squares than there are perfect squares. Yeah. Yeah. All right, calculators. Negative 12 plus the square root of 180 divided by 18. So about 0.1. Now we're going to do negative 12 minus the square root of 180. Peyton, you're looking at me funny. Are we doing all right? Ray, you doing all right? What did you guys get when you did negative 12 minus the square root of 180? Negative 25.4 divided by that 18. Good number. Got it? Okay. How many do I have left? 3? Yeah. Oh, this one's an easy one. Why is this one an easy one? Less numbers. So what are you going to do first? Minus the 3 over, which gives me... Uh-oh. That's the A, right? What's the 3? The C. There is no B, so what are you going to be using for the B? 0. What's wrong? You're good? Okay. What's the A? And what's the C? Okay. $96. Perfect square or not a perfect square? Not a perfect square. Okay. So what's the negative b? Just 0, right? Everybody good with that? What goes under the square root? Over 2 times what's that a? All right. Well, folks, if I add 0 to anything, does it change it at all? No. So I don't really need that 0. Just plus or minus 96, and this will be what, 16? Okay, that's the exact answer. Now, for the approximate answer, you don't have a positive button on your calculator, do you? No. So when I want to do plus the square root of 96, all you're going to do is type in the square root of 96. What are we getting for that number? Okay. Divided by 16. So approximately 0.6. Now, to do the other one, the minus sign right here just makes this negative. So it'll be negative square root of 96. Then whatever you get, divide that by 16. And it should be no surprise to you that it's the same number, just negative. The only thing we changed about it was putting that negative in front of it, right? Yes? Doing okay? Are you sure? Yes. So, how am I doing on time? We're doing fantastic on time. I would like for us, we're going to do number 6 together, and then you're going to do number 5 or number 7 on your own, okay? So, in number 6, is it in the right order? What are you going to do? Subtract the 2e squared. We can do that. So 0 equals, what's the new equation? Perfect. So, what's the B? What's the A? What's the C? Okay. You guys are going to like this one. You're going to like it. 63, you say? Let's see what the rest of you get. Negative 63. So why am I telling you that you're going to like this? If it's a negative, that's going to be under the square root, right? Which means what? Yeah, that was one of our categories, right? Was if it was negative, it's no solution. This thing has no solution because it will never cross the x-axis. I told you you'd like it, right? Yeah? No, 7 has 2 solutions. Go ahead and do number 7. Folks, I label it A, B, and C every single time for a reason. You're doing great. Now you're just going to find your 2 answers. Oh, your bottom number's wrong. This is supposed to be 2 times A, right? Yeah. Positive 1 and negative 1? I got positive 1, but I didn't get negative 1. So if you did that, you can't just say it's negative, then you got to do negative 5 minus 7. You're good. You're almost there. How are you doing there? Well, you could be higher. But that's not what your formula says. Your formula says 2 times A. What's your A? Right? You did, yes. Okay, so you don't have to put squiggly lines because those are exact. There's no decimals there, right? All right, folks, so your discriminant should have been 49. Then when you plugged it in, you should have negative 5 plus or minus the square root of 49 all over 2 times negative 1. That negative 1 right here was the biggest mistake that I saw from you guys. A lot of you wanted to put the b back down there. Remember, it's 2 times a. What is the square root of 49? Remember, folks, once you do that, it's just a 7. There's no more square root that's left on top of it. And then we have that. What is negative 5 plus 7? Negative 5 plus 7 is 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. How about negative 5 minus 7? Divided by negative 2? So those are your 2 answers. Notice we don't have a squiggly line there because those are exact. There's no decimals going on there, right? Questions for me? Okay. Homework. Make sure you read your directions to see whether or not it says exact or approximate. It won't say both. It'll be one or the other.